Good morning, world, and welcome to the Patriot Party Show. I'm Matt, your host, and I'm so happy to be here starting off the weekend with all y'all guys and gals at the Patriot Party, where truth meets every corner of the news. We bring you unbiased news that spans general news, political news, world news, financial news, tech news, and more. We cover celebrity news, gossip, sports, movie and TV shows, making sure you stay up to date with all the latest entertainment. Join our America First movement where we put truth and the Constitution above all and provide unique insights and immersive content all in one place. We have a new Patriot Party store where you can purchase our custom graphic designed merchandise. Please check us out and support our cause. Also, follow us on all our social media platforms to stay engaged. You can find links to the store and the social media by clicking on the description of this podcast. And don't hesitate to share your thoughts or topic suggestions. Thank you for supporting the Patriot Party as we unravel mainstream media BS and offer you a fresh perspective that's not affiliated with any political parties. So we have no agendas. Thank you so much for your support. Without y'all, we wouldn't be here. And now to the show. This week has been a rather sad week. One of the main things that happened this week is kind of what we're going to dedicate this show to. It's one of the people who has made such a big impact in podcasting and across the political spectrum. Let's get into the story. Conservative political activist and author Charlie Kirk has died. Kirk was shot Wednesday while on stage speaking at an event at Utah Valley University. Law enforcement officials said he was going back and forth with a student about mass shootings involving transgender people when he was shot, according to the videos of the attack. And we put several on our social media platforms. There's two different ones on X. The one was the first video that we got a hold of from a side view from somebody that was there. The second was a frontal view, which is a little bit more graphic, but they're both very, very graphic. We have them on YouTube. We have one on YouTube. We have two on X and a couple on Facebook. So if you're interested in those, check them out. I definitely wouldn't let your youngins watch them. A person was taken into custody after Kirk was shot and then released. They were searching for the sniper. They ended up getting him, and we'll go into that story in just a minute. It appeared to be a professional hit because it was on a rooftop, way, way away. I mean, they said around 200 yards. It could have been that. It could have been possibly more. But from the picture they got, which there's some holes in it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Is a young guy, 22. I mean, and they said the high-powered rifle they said that was used, which was a 30-06, which a 200-yard shot from somebody that used to hunt in their youth is not very far for a 30-06. So anybody that's trained on a scope or practice on a scope for hunting could probably make that shot. So it does not have to be considered a professional hit. And we will get into the details of who they took into custody in a minute. So Kirk 31 was one of the most influential figures on the right and founder and CEO of Turning Point USA, a powerful conservative youth organization active in over 3,500 college campuses. Kirk hosted a popular podcast and was known for hosting Prove Me Wrong debates on college campuses. He also played a prominent role in Trump's outreach to young voters during the 2024 election. Students at Utah Valley University were told to secure in place until police officers can escort them safely off campus. Campus was closed, classes were canceled. That was from a statement from the university itself. This is no longer a red versus blue. This is humanity versus insanity, y'all. And that is to all of you evil people on social media right now cheering on Charlie's death. This is a really sad day for anybody with a human heart. This man had two young children and a young wife. Whether you agreed with his ideologies or not, he was a very, very smart individual who was driven towards a pretty righteous purpose of getting young people to vote in colleges. We have not always agreed on methods or information. I've come out on this show and called him out on a few things. But I was definitely looking forward to some time in my career being able to have a friendly debate with him because he was a phenomenal debater. And I really had marked that as a goal for this movement, a friendly debate. I'm deeply saddened by this loss. I think we all need to take just a moment of silence for him and his family. Rest in peace, Charlie. Now, a suspect has been arrested in the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk in Utah. Officials said Friday morning. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said the suspect had been identified as Tyler Robinson, 22. Cox said Robinson resided in southern Utah and confessed to his father. He said Robinson's father had recognized his son as the subject of photos released by law enforcement and urged him to turn himself in. Two law enforcement sources said Robinson's father reported his son to clergy, who took the tip to the U.S. Marshals Service. Robinson was taken into custody late Thursday night, FBI Director Kash Patel said Friday. Cox thanked the family members of the suspected shooter, who he said did the right thing in bringing him to law enforcement. President Donald Trump was the first to announce the suspect was in custody during an appearance on Fox and Friends Friday morning. Now, the facts are still coming in. They're still new. They're still fresh. A lot of people are asking a very valid question. We got pictures of this guy going up, going down. Where's the gun? It was a 30-06 that they found wrapped in a towel at the edge of the woods. I don't know if it would fit in that book bag. I don't think it would. I'm not sure, but I don't think the barrel would of a long, high-powered rifle. We have pictures of him on the roof, and it says it was in the woods right near where he came down, but he didn't come down with it. He didn't throw it off. So where is it? Was there somebody else involved? I don't know. Is this guy a patsy? I don't know. I'm not going to put out conspiracy theorists. I'm not going to put out a theory other than what we are getting until I have more dots to connect. And right now, it's the situation is very blurry looking through the lens of everything that they've got. So we're going to hold off on making any kind of theories or coming up with, depending on what they come up with, our own idea of what happened. So let's go to Donald Trump in Chicago. Operation Midway Blitz is hitting a fever pitch as local leaders claim immigrants are wrongfully being snatched off the street by federal agents looking to root out violent criminals. The White House vehemently argues that the Chicago operation is aimed at targeting undocumented immigrants who have committed crimes, but local community members say it's causing fear among law-abiding neighbors. At least 4 people have been arrested so far, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Trump did not send National Guard to Chicago. He sent ICE. Trump sent ICE to Chicago. And if they're, this is a bunch of BS the way I look at it, because the locals are intimidated. Well, if you have a high crime area and therefore that area is patrolled more by law enforcement and there's a much larger law enforcement presence in that area, then they're going to feel some kind of way too. But you have to have it there. So this is kind of how I feel about the whole thing. Well, first the mayor and the government come out and they say it's unconstitutional. And I love how Democrats are saying things are unconstitutional when they're not. At least when Republicans do use the Constitution, they don't get it wrong. I haven't agreed with Trump on a lot of stuff, but I think on this matter that he is abiding by the new Supreme Court ruling about the National Guard in Los Angeles. And that's what the show has been saying all along, was he could not send active duty military or activate military to take over law enforcement in sovereign states. But after doing research, he has full authority to go and get illegal immigrants under Title 18 USC 1325. I don't think they should be backed up by the military, and that's what the courts think as well. But he has full power. It is a federal crime and a federal agency that will be tried in a federal court. As per the 3 Ps, the Patriot Party principles, which includes the 27 constitutional amendments and some basic doctrine, the Patriot Party rules this constitutional. Now, this is kind of a continuation because President Trump said he planned to send National Guard troops to Memphis, Tennessee, as part of a crackdown on crime across the country following his administration's intervention in Washington, D.C. In an interview with Fox News on Friday, Trump called Memphis deeply troubled. There's a lot of crime in Memphis. It's on the East Coast. I had a lot of friends from Memphis. As you know, I'm from the East Coast before I moved to Louisiana. We're going to fix it. To fix that, just like we did Washington. That's in quotation marks, Trump said, adding that his administration would send the National Guard and anybody else we need. We'll bring in the military too if we need it, he added. Trump's announcement that he would send troops to Memphis comes after he threatened for weeks to send National Guard to Chicago, calling the city a mess that needed a federal intervention to fight crime. The Memphis Police Department recently reported that overall crime had fallen to a 25-year low, with the number of murders dropping to a 6-year low, but rates remain among the highest in the country. The office of Memphis Mayor Paul Young, a Democrat, didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. The president said he would have preferred to send the National Guard to Chicago, but that local officials opposed any involvement from his administration. He is following the Constitution. The Democrats don't want it, Trump said. We'd love to save Chicago, he added. We don't want to go into a hostile area. Trump also again expressed a willingness to send federal authorities to New Orleans. New Orleans is really in bad shape, and the governor wants us to go, and we'll do that too, he said. Now, let's talk about why this is different from Chicago, California, those places. Because, per the Constitution, the governor can request federal assistance and request the National Guard, and then the National Guard can go in and assist law enforcement. So the difference is Chicago as a sovereign state, California as a sovereign state, snubbed their nose and said, no, we don't want that, which is their right to do. It is their right to do, but now we have states that are requesting it. So this flips the narratives and makes Democratic-run cities look bad for not wanting to clean up crime. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to go in, they're going to assist these governors, which I imagine most of them will be Republican governors. They're going to assist these governors, and they're going to clean up the crime, and they're going to say, look, we're not taking over. You should be ashamed of yourself for not wanting our help to lower the crime for your citizens. So they flip the narrative instead of pushing the Constitution. I think this is super smart, super smart. So what they do is they come in, they flip the narrative, they do it in the ones that allow them to do it per the Constitution. Amen, per the Constitution. That's what we want. They flip this narrative, they go in, they clean it up legally, and then they make the Democratic cities and Democratic-run states look bad. Hey, you know what? Per the Constitution, if you are abiding by it, you get that stamp of approval from the Patriot Party. That is what we're looking for you to abide by the Constitution. So we can't say anything other than this is a really, really strategic move, and will probably open up the door for many more people if it works out the way that they think it will work out. And like we said, it is okay because it abides by the Constitution. People want to overcomplicate this movement and say, well, where do you stand on this issue? Where do you stand on this issue? We're going to measure that issue against the Constitution. And that's where we stand. The 27 amendments of the Constitution, not the original one that said it's like 3/5 of a man, not that where people say, oh, well, if you support the Constitution, you support slavery. No, we don't support slavery. the 13th Amendment abolishes slavery. So the 27 amendments and some doctrine, some basic doctrine to the Constitution. That is literally what we base all of our decisions. Is this done right? Is this done wrong? That is what we need for a reset to the country. We need these politicians to follow this. We need the media to report truth and as unbiasedly as possible. This is what we need. Republicans triggered something they call the, and this is in quotation marks, nuclear option to change the rules of the Senate on a party line basis Thursday, a move that will allow them to speed up confirmation of President Donald Trump's nominees for key executive branch positions. The vote was 53 to 45 to establish a new rule that allows the Senate to confirm an unlimited number of nominees en bloc, rather than process each one individually. The rule applies to executive branch nominees subject to 2 hours of Senate debate, including sub-cabinet picks and ambassadors. It will not affect judicial nominations. Republicans say they'll allow their own senators to object to individual nominees in any given block, but the rule will strip away the power of the minority party to do the same thing. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Republican from South Dakota, initiated the process by bringing up a package of 48 Trump nominees, which under longstanding rules has been subject to the 60 vote threshold. The vote to advance them failed due to Democratic opposition. Then Thune sought to reconsider, and Republicans subsequently voted to overrule the chair, setting a precedent and establishing the new rule. Thune had telegraphed the move for weeks, accusing Democrats of creating an untenable situation with historic obstruction of Trump's nominees. The vote was held up for hours Thursday as the two parties engaged in last-ditch negotiations to strike a deal to avoid a rules change, but they failed, and Republicans chose to proceed. It's time to move. Time to quit stalling. Time to vote. Time to fix this place, Thune said, and an impassioned floor speech accusing Democrats of stalling and dragging out negotiations. This is a broken process, folks. That's an embarrassment. So I looked into this. The minority having power against majority has a rich history, starting in 1906 with Aaron Burr and going into the 70s, which was the era of filibusters. Before that, it was a simple majority, which to me makes a whole heck of a lot more sense. That's how all voting is counted. This new rule appears to be constitutional and much more efficient. Therefore, this has the Patriot Party's stamp of approval. Let's get into some medical news. Type 1.5 diabetes is real and underdiagnosed. Here's how it differs from type 1 and type 2. Experts say the condition, formerly known as latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, can result in health complications if it isn't diagnosed and treated properly. Most people know there are two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Knowing which one you have matters quite a lot for how you treat them. But what you may not know about is a lesser known variation of the disease, latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, LADA, sometimes referred informally as type 1.5 diabetes. Often mistaken for type 2 diabetes due to its slow onset in adulthood, LADA is in fact an autoimmune disease more closely related to type 1. Its symptoms don't quite fit the mold of type 1 or type 2, yet these distinctions are frequently missed, leading to delayed or ineffective treatment that could result in health complications down the line. It is possible to reverse type 2 diabetes and even quicker than you think. That's right, y'all. It can be reversed. Type 2 can be reversed, and it can be reversed fast. In most instances, regular exercise and a well-balanced diet will do the trick. But in some cases, you also need medication paired with it. I suggest working with a dietitian or nutritionist and a licensed physician to figure out your best path. But remember, don't y'all wait too long, because you can reduce and reverse, not reduce, reverse the condition. You can reverse type 2 diabetes. But if you incur nerve damage, most of the time that cannot be reversed. So don't wait too long to make the move. Let's get rid of type 2 diabetes. It is so avoidable. All right, let's get to some world news. Israel carried out an attack against the Hamas leadership in Doha. An Israeli source told CNN after an explosion was heard in the Qatar capital. The source didn't say who was targeted, but Hamas leaders have used the Qatar capital as a headquarters outside of Gaza for years. Shortly after the explosion, the Israel Defense Forces (IDF) issued a statement that it had targeted senior leadership of Hamas with a precise strike in a joint operation with the Shin Bet security agency. The operation, which was carried out Tuesday, relied on warplanes that fired long-range missiles, avoided the airspace of Arab countries, and left the Trump administration in the dark until the last moments. Israeli jet fighters, 8 F-15s, and 4 F-35s, those are some bad boys, those F-35s, flew in the Red Sea on the opposite side of the Arabian Peninsula from Qatar. From there, some of the planes fired the air-launched ballistic missiles into space over Saudi Arabia at Doha, several U.S. officials said. I've said all along, Israel is not playing around, and they do not care who supports them or who doesn't. This was a horrific attack on them, and they are going, if you are part of Hamas, they are coming after you. NATO member warplanes shot down several Russian drones over Poland. The first time the alliance has engaged Russian drones over a member's territory after what officials contend was a test of its defenses by Moscow. The incident, which Polish authorities said involved 19 incursions into its airspace, led authorities to close major Polish airports for the first time since the war began. We are dealing likely with a provocation on a large scale, said Prime Minister Donald Tusk of Poland, a North Atlantic Treaty Organization member, following an emergency meeting of ministers Wednesday. Russian warplanes have long tested NATO's responses by flying near or even into airspace of alliance members. NATO countries rotate air policing duties along alliance borders. Those cat and mouse encounters involving traditional crewed aircraft have become more brazen since Russia's large-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, but remain on the alliance's periphery. Tuesday night's drone incursions mark a new level of Russian provocation. The unmanned aerial vehicles reached further west over Poland than at any time previously reported during the war. Dutch and Polish warplanes were involved in the operation to down the drones, some of which entered via Belarus, developments that Tusk said. Let's get into some financial news. There's a lot. There is a lot of tenuous stuff with a lot of tension going on around the world, and really, I think a lot of it's going to test this administration and see if all this big talk, if they will back it up. So that's my theory on what's to come. There is just so much tension around the world right now. Jobless claims rise. Initial claims hit 263,000, higher than expected. Gold prices surge, reached all-time highs amid economic uncertainty. Remember, y'all, when the dollar goes down, when there's economic uncertainty, gold will surge. Stock market volatility, S&P 500 dipped midweek, then rallied on court ruling favoring Alphabet. Oil prices fell due to expectations of increased OPEC production. Weak jobs report, only 22,000 non-farm payroll jobs added in August, fueling Fed rate cut speculation. Tech news, quantum leap. Google's quantum chip Willow and NVIDIA's DGX quantum system made headlines. AI versus efficiency debate sparked by China's DeepSeek challenging U.S. AI dominance. Big tech in China. AP report revealed U.S. tech firms helped build China's surveillance state. Google fined EU hit Google with 3.45 billion over fine over ad tech practices. PayPal's Pay USD expansion boosting cross-border payments with Zoom integration. Let's get to some celebrity news and gossip. First, we had the 2025 MTV VMA Awards. Most memorable moments of the night from special honors for Mariah Carey, Ricky Martin, and Busta Rhymes to performances by Sabrina Carpenter, Tate McRae, and Doja Cat. There were plenty of highlights from Sunday's ceremony. Selena Gomez's wedding buzz. Details leaked by a guest. She's also promoting Only Murders in the Building. Emily Blunt and John Krasinski made a rare public appearance with their daughters at the U.S. Open. Charlie Sheen memoir and documentary, the Book of Sheen, and Netflix, aka Charlie Sheen, reveal wild stories. So it's a memoir and a documentary. Oscar buzz, Leonardo DiCaprio's new film, One Battle After Another, is a frontrunner for 2026 awards. Sports, college football shakeups, Georgia versus Tennessee and Florida versus LSU were key matchups. NFL Week 1 drama, ejections, fantasy injuries, and surprise wins dominate headlines. Coco Gauff wins French Open, defeated Aaron. Y'all know how I am with names. Erna Sabalenka in a thrilling finale. MLB player countdown, Tigers and Brewers inch closer to clinching. New movies. Wide release. The Conjuring Last Rites, Warner Brothers, a Sahara, and a sequel. Limited releases, Twinless, drama about grief and friendship. Torn, the Israeli-Palestine war on New York streets. It's a political documentary. Hamilton, theatrical re-release. New TV shows and where to watch. Netflix, The Wrong Paris, romantic comedy starring Miranda Cosgrove. Wednesday, season 2, part 2, Lady Gaga cameo. That is a pretty cool series. I think I mentioned it before. Me and the daughter are watching it, and she loves that series. Adolescence, Emmy nominated drama, Paramount Plus reunion, British drama and deaf cast, NCIS, Tony and Ziva, spy thriller spinoff, Peacock, Downtown Abbey, the grand finale behind the scenes special. Prime Video, Countdown, thriller starring Jensen Ackles, Every Minute Counts, Season 2. Hulu, Only Murders in the Building, Season 5. And The Bear, Season 4. Pick of the week. We are picking the movie Treason. I think it's appropriate in this day and age when everybody's calling out treason, and it is a war crime. But everybody, lo and behold, everybody says everybody's guilty of treason, but they never that charge never holds water for any of the people they say are actually guilty of treason. So anyway, the pick of the week, I got off subject, rant a little bit, raving a little bit, but Treason. It's a British spy thriller. Miniseries created by Matt Chairman. It stars Charlie Cox as Adam Lawrence, an MI6 deputy who suddenly rises to the top after his boss is poisoned, but his career and personal life spiral when a Russian spy, his former lover, reappears and reveals she's been pulling the strings behind his success. As secrets unravel, Adam must navigate betrayal, surveillance, and threats to his family and country. You can stream Treason exclusively on Netflix. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. To all y'all out there, stay safe. Thank you for catching our Saturday morning show where truth meets every corner of the news.